Housing expert. Expect home prices to continue to fall. Guys, this is an awesome article that kind of really outlines what is happening in the housing market. You're not going to want to miss this. Check this out. Look, let me just highlight this quote right here. Expect prices to continue to fall the rest of the year. So what does that mean to you right now? Let me tell you, if you're like literally looking to buy a house right now, stop. Pause. Don't do it. Okay. Now, again, this is my opinion. If you have the deal ready, if you found the house of your dreams and you are okay with the payment, of course, buy it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you're like a budget buyer and you want to buy right now, well, guess what? At the end of the year, which is like in 3-4 months, which is literally the time it would take you to find a house anyways, houses will be lower than they are right now. So what does that mean in general? That means that as a whole, people are saying, no way am I going to buy, and they're going to pull back. When they begin to pull back, right? When we have buyers saying, hey, you know what? I am not ready to buy at the peak, especially I think, as you know, the Feds are going to raise the rates next week or like in the next few weeks, and that's going to completely crash, literally crash the mortgage industry. Anyways, so looking at that is that right now buyers are saying, I'm going to hold on. I'm not ready to pay these high rates, and houses are still way, way too high. So they're going to pull back. So then what happens? Believe it or not, there are motivated sellers out there. There are people out there that need to sell their house. It's not even a question. They're saying, I need to sell the house. Maybe they've made money. Maybe they're losing money. It doesn't matter. It's just that they need to sell the house. So we do have a group of motivated sellers out there. And when that group really wants to sell a house, what are they going to do? They're going to lower that price. They're going to keep lowering the price until the house sells. That's the kind of market. Now, that's not everybody. Now, if you read this article right here, there's a great little quote right here. Let me highlight it for you. Sellers are sitting on record equity gains from last year and locked into very low mortgage rates last year. So it's not really a good reason for homeowners to sell right now, especially when they see the market is soft. They can just hold on and wait. Now, this is a specific type of seller. Who's this seller? This is a seller that basically you own a house, you owned it for 5-10 years or more, right? More than 5 years. You bought it for a decent price and you haven't taken out money out like on a second, right? You refinanced last year. So here you are. You bought it for a decently low price. You have refinanced, you didn't take out any money, so you have really low mortgage. You have an incredibly low mortgage, right? Because of the low mortgage refinance rates we had last year, and you see that your house is worth 50% more, right? Yeah, that sort of motivates you. You're like, hey, my house, especially at the high-end market, some of these people are like, hey, my house is worth $2 million. Right? At the top, like 3 months ago, it was worth $2 million. Now it's worth, 1.6. I got into the market when it was, 900. Should I sell now? That's $700,000 worth of profit, right? A lot of people are kind of on the fence, right? Well, those types of people who are sort of happy where they are, guess what? They're not selling. They're not in the mood. They're not in the mood to sell and jump into another problem, right? Into another house, because again, they're going to have to pay a higher interest rate and they're buying basically at the top of the market. So I could see situations if you possibly own 2 homes, right? And maybe you want to sell the second home at the top of the market. I could see maybe those people could be motivated for that. But again, the idea of owning property is basically very simple. You want to accumulate property. You don't want to day trade property, right? I know there are contractors that do flips, the business is flipping houses. That's a little bit different. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about, just regular people that want to, increase their portfolio and buy, multiple properties. You're probably better off owning them, renting them, because the market always goes through ups and downs. And in the long term, it's going to be way more beneficial. It's going to give you a lot more than whatever gains you could make in this little bubble, right? Which clearly the bubble is already popping, so those gains are kind of gone. Now, this article kind of says, hey, don't expect things to fall too much. I think, like it says right here, I think the housing recession is a bit of a hyperbole. It is pretty normal part of the housing cycle. We just had a really hot period. So basically, things are cooling down. It's not really going to crash. Well, here's my analysis for that. I've said this in some of my other videos, is basically the idea that I kind of disagree. I think that in '08 we had a housing crash, which then triggered, basically a crash to the stock market, and then it reverberated across the entire world, right? Now I think it's a little bit different. I think the crash is coming to the housing market. The crash is coming from somewhere else. The crash is really coming from inflation, right? Inflation is basically strangling our economy, and the only way to bring down inflation, unfortunately, is to shrink the economy, is to pull cash out. When you inject, you get inflation when you inject too much cash into the economy. That's why by having record low rates, mortgage rates, where the feds were basically at zero, it's basically like they're giving free money. Okay, that's basically what it means. They're giving it to people, and it's throwing gasoline into a fire. So you have a huge fireball, right? But at the end of the day, I guess in the analogy would be, it's burning all the wood. And the wood is basically our economy, right? So now you got to put more wood. Well, we're out of wood, right? We can't put more wood in there. So it's basically burning it all up. So how do you control it? How do you bring it down? You got to bring down those flames. So you got to get gasoline basically out of the fire, right? And what that means is you raise the rates, you make it more expensive for people to borrow. The people that borrow are going to be paying higher rates, which eventually brings down the money that we borrowed, because that's the key, is we got to bring down the deficit. And then basically it shrinks the economy, and in the process it brings down inflation. But it is an incredibly painful process. And what can happen is when people start getting strapped, right, they will turn from not so motivated sellers into very motivated sellers. If they need the money for XYZ, that's what can happen. Now, I'm just praying that the government doesn't print any more money. That's because if we try to print ourselves out of this next recession, we could be in real deep trouble, because again, we are just going to keep inflation high. And inflation is strangling us, to just put it lightly. Again, it's crazy stuff out there. Basically, moral of the story is houses will continue to fall into, in the beginning of 2023. I believe they're going to keep going down. But if you're in the market of buying a house, you might want to reconsider. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and finish this video. Now, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching my videos. You guys have been throwing some huge numbers. Look at this, 2,000 views, almost 2,000 views, 1,000. Look, you guys are killing it, guys. And I want to say thank you so much. You guys are liking my videos. You guys are commenting on my videos, and it really does mean a lot to me. And if you're new to my channel and you like what I have to say, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button right here and go ahead and like and leave a comment. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.